Well, believe it or not, we're already a third of the way through the Chicago Sky's season. Last night, they lost to the Suns in another close game. It has certainly been a WNBA season that's getting a lot of attention. Much of that attention on just a handful of its rookie stars. So joining me now is Annie Costabile, beat reporter for the Chicago Sun-Times. Annie, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So yesterday you wrote that the Chicago Sky do not have a problem keeping things close, but they are having issues in closing out these close games. So how would you grade the team's performance so far, and why do you think they are so struggling to win in these tight games?
Yeah, I mean, it's a 12-team league, and right now they're at the bottom of the pack. They're amongst the bottom 5 teams in the league, and in large part because there's a huge learning curve. This is a very fresh team. Beyond just the rookies, there's a lot of inexperience in terms of them playing together. First-year head coach and Teresa Weatherspoon. So that learning curve, in a sense of really establishing cohesion, is needed, as we're seeing in these tight games. So when you're a team that's still trying to figure each other out and figure out the way to win, it's coming through in these tight games that they've really been unable to do so.
Rookie Angel Reese is off to a historic start with her offensive rebounding. So do you think she's just scratching the surface? I mean, what do you think her ceiling is? Obviously only, a certain number of games into the rookie season.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that stood out about Angel Reese when I was, doing my job in terms of figuring out whether or not she'd be a fit with this team and doing interviews was over and over I heard, this is a championship caliber player, and obviously we saw her win a title with LSU, but that mindset that she has in terms of what it takes to be a top player in the WNBA, like she has that. And so that's why we're seeing this immediate transition, because things like accomplishing these double-doubles, she's finished with 4 straight double-doubles, getting the offensive rebounds that she is, it's absolutely a skill, but it's also a mentality. It's also, you've got to be a player who's willing to do that dirty work. And that's what Angel's shown, is that she's willing to do that. And then on top of that, where we've already seen her develop and grow is with her shot around the rim. Yesterday, she was 8 for 10 from the field, which is a vast improvement from some of her early games in this season. And she finished with 20 points, 10 rebounds. She's the first WNBA rookie of this class to get to 100 points and 100 rebounds. And that's quite a mark, especially when you consider who's in this rookie class.
Absolutely. Also in the rookie class, someone you can't go without mentioning or hearing about, I feel like any day now, Caitlyn Clark. Obviously not on the Olympic roster. A lot has been made about that. What is your take on why the committee made that decision, and just whether people should be up in arms about it or not?
Yeah, I wrote a column about this the other day, and it's honestly, I can't help but laugh over the takes and the uproar over her not being on the roster. And I think in large part that has to do with the way that she's been covered and the hype that surrounded her. And a lot of that is warranted, right? She's one of 2 players in the world who can pull up from where she pulls up on the floor. Her and Steph Curry are the only players who have shown that they can do that on a regular basis. That's remarkable, right? But when it comes to Team USA, they're not interested in bringing on a player because of a popularity vote or because it's going to bring them a ton of attention. We're talking about the best team in the world. They're 70-3 in Olympic play. They're going after their 8th straight gold medal. The players that have made this roster have been playing together for years, whether it be, on the Olympic stage or competing for a World Cup title. Or competing at the World Cup. So it's not about attention. They don't need attention. And as far as Caitlyn goes, she's certainly developing into a star, and there's no question about the star that she's going to be in the WNBA, and eventually you'd expect for Team USA. But at this point, it's about continuity. It's about experience. And every player on this roster has won a gold medal. That's, when you think about that, again, whether at the Olympic stage or in a World Cup play, every member of this team has won a gold medal. There's 15 medals between the 12 players on this roster. So who are you going to swap out? No
Right,
one. So it really came down to experience.
Two women we may see on a future Olympic roster, Angel Reese, Caitlyn Clark, going head-to-head again this Sunday, facing off. What do you expect from that matchup again between these two rookies that everybody loves to watch?
Yeah, I think the most exciting thing about the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky right now is the fact that they're reestablishing a rivalry that was very interesting, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And the reason being is not only Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese. These are two very young teams. Beyond Caitlyn, you've got Aaliyah Boston, Alyssa Smith over in Indiana. And then over here, you've got Camilla. And then again, a very young team in terms of their inexperience playing together. Kennedy Carter was a top 4 pick in her draft class. And then you go over to the Indiana Fever, they have multiple top 4 picks beyond just the last 2 draft classes. So the star power on both of these rosters in terms of what they could develop into, where both of these franchises could be in the next few years in terms of competing for titles potentially, it's definitely setting a stage for some really exciting basketball.
Absolutely. Something to watch for sure. That game again happening at 11 a.m. right here on CBS on Sunday morning. Annie, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing all of your expertise and your takes on all the takes.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Of course.